Good morning, everybody. Hope you are well. Welcome back to I Can't Shut Up Unless You Tell Me to. I'm just I guess we're now using this for gaming and culture hot takes, and Little Black Book is now purely just fucking politics. Well, I guess that's fine. Yay. Alright, so today I want to talk about the Game Awards, right? Aside from the fact that, my coverage of the Game Awards this year amounted to a, frankly, slapdash reaction video that was half finished because I was not at home and not streaming it, unfortunately. I do want to talk about Expedition 33, but I'm caught up, obviously. So I wanted to talk about Expedition 33. I've seen a lot of discourse on the internet saying that Expedition 33 shouldn't have been put up for a lot of the awards that it was. And, and the person I think that had probably the most, respectable opinion on this that didn't sound like a angry, ball and gun gamer screed was Moist Critical, where he said that there were a lot of amazing games that came out this year in 2025. And he's right, 2025 was an amazing year for games. Not just games in general, but specifically indie games. We got Silksong and Hades 2 this year. 2 certified fucking bangers of indie games. So, this kind of leads us to, I'm driving to work. This kind of leads me to sort of think, hey, what do we, Expedition 33 is like, it's like an Elden Ring. It's like a Baldur's Gate 3. It is a once-in-a-generation type of game. Elden Ring did a minor sweep. Baldur's Gate absolutely swept, and Expedition 33 absolutely swept. And here's my thing. I've played Expedition 33. I beat Expedition 33 from beginning to end. I might have passed on some side content here on Airport 54 or whatever, but I will say that it is a game that will quite literally change your fucking brain chemistry. It is a gorgeous, beautifully voice acted, beautifully animated, beautifully well told and narrated story that also has some fantastic fucking gameplay. And people say, oh, it's just a basic JRPG. I mean, sure, maybe if that's what you want to call it, but a reminder that games are so much more than that, and it is objectively a magnificent fucking game. And if you've played Expedition 33, it is gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. Every single act subverts expectations. Every single act turns things on its head, and it's just incredible. And so, what kind of leads me to this is the question of what do you kind of do when you have a game like Expedition 33 that is an RPG, that is an indie game, that is X and Y and Z, that fits in all of these categories, but is also everybody that wasn't, sucking, Arc Raid, Call of Duty, and, NBA 2K slop cock knew this game was going to win. What do? You know what I mean? And I think that, Expedition 33 can be described as all these games, and I don't know, I feel like there should be, I kind of think that, especially in a year like 2025, where there were a lot of amazing games that deserve to be rewarded, the T-Buy Kingdom Come Deliverance can eat a dick. They're being salty little bitches about it, whatever, who cares? I like the concept of Erika Ishii, who, like, she was just shoving popcorn in her fucking mouth during her, nomination process because she knew good and hell well she wasn't going to win that shit. She was up against 3 separate people who were in Expedition 33 who were given acting roles and material that was so far and above what she was given that she did a great job in voice acting with Ghosts of Yotai, sure. But, like, it wasn't Expedition 33, which is why she was shoving food in her mouth and she was cheering when her people won. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's what people need to take, the grace that people need to take with this when they're like, listen, we probably would have won if Expedition 33 wasn't going, but that game's fucking amazing, so I can't even be mad about it. But regardless, I think that, maybe treating the quote-unquote game of the year, maybe treating the game of the year itself, like the nomination, as an award, and putting it in a prestige higher than everything else. Like you get nominated for Game of the Year. You're in the nominations list for Game of the Year. Ixnay, you aren't able to be nominated for anything else, but you get a trophy nonetheless, and being nominated for Game of the Year itself is a huge matters itself. It's kind of maybe shifting the cultural paradigm to viewing being nominated for Game Awards Game of the Year as a huge fucking deal within itself. I think that could work. I think that could absolutely be a thing that is moderately successful. I think that's definitely possible. That being said, that might take a few cycles, and, there's going to be some games that, like, otherwise probably would have won a lot of awards that didn't because they were locked in for Game of the Year. And, I don't know, I think that probably could solve it. Because don't get me wrong, I think Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate, Expedition 33 deserve to win every award that they've gotten, including Game of the Year. But even then, I think back to, like, you could make an argument that Elden Ring could win Best RPG, but, it didn't. God of War Ragnarok went out, which, I'm going to be honest, God of War Ragnarok is a much more traditional type of RPG compared to Elden Ring, and should have won, and I agree with that, it winning that. So it just kind of puts me at a level of what the fuck you do here, where you have these amazing games that deserve to, like, be recognized and awarded, but then you just have, like, this generational title that is like legitimately amazing, that you end up with this as an environment. I don't know what the answer to that is, by and large, but I do think that it is a conversation that is worth having, and I do think that it is, it's something that Jeff Healy needs to really look at for next year, because, despite the shitification despite the enshittification of the game industry, specifically through the lens of, like, AAA, we are getting amazing games from, a handful of good AAA studios that give a damn, and specifically the indie space. And despite the world getting worse, and despite, RAM sticks costing a fucking $1,000, and the AI bubble inevitably leading to, like, a possible fucking dark age in regards to personal computing, we're still going to be getting really good games, I think. I think the indie scene we're kind of in an indie game renaissance at the moment that is going to lead to a significantly, better environment. That's going to lead to to us having awesome games. Like, I didn't even get a chance to play. I usually try to play a good chunk of the Game of the Year nominees every year. I only got a chance to play Expedition 33 But I know Hades 2 was fucking worth it as well. Everybody I know who's been playing has been gushing about that game. And it's also Hades 2. Hades 1 was an absolute masterpiece of a game from Supergiant. And Supergiant makes fucking awesome games. So, yeah, their shit is Game of the Year level, as far as I'm concerned, as well. You know, so I think it's really going to depend for us as a culture, as like a gaming community. Like, I think we're just going to need to sort of put, like, I think we need to put, like, Game of the Year is thrown around so much that it feels almost worthless, depending. But I think, if anything, if we're going to make one Game of the Year award matter more than others, let's make it the Game Awards. At least that way, we could maybe, you know, the prestige of being one of the 5 games of this year that were in line for Game of the Year is huge. It's fucking huge. And I think in line with that would make it so, you know, I think it makes it so, like, it makes it so you don't get swept, you don't get swept. You know, with these generational games that are going to most likely keep coming out, because, you know, artists keep making good art despite how bad the world might be getting. I think it's really good. I think it's something to consider. I honestly am also fine personally and morally and objectively with the concept of just letting these generational games sweep, because, you know, generationally amazing, change your brain chemistry types of games are worth it. They're worth it. And I think Expedition 33 does deserve every single fucking award that they got. Period. The end. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of I Can't Shut Up Unless You Tell Me To. I appreciate you, your time, and your listenership. Y'all are awesome, and I'll see you guys next time.